Hello and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast with Kathy, Mark, and Burke talking about movies. There's extra people today. What?
It's a full house.
Well,
from
we
the other
have
side of the world.
we have from the UK and Ireland. We have Jason Figgis and John West, who are filmmakers, and they're very happy. Yeah, very happy to have you. So they have a production company called Figgis-West, and their latest release is a film called Winifred Meeks, which was just released in the U.S. from Bayview, I believe, on April 27th. So it's available for streaming everywhere. So please check it out. We watched it, and we're going to talk about that and many other things. So welcome aboard. Thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about how you guys met and created this new great genre film company.
Well, normally I begin with that. I'm going to let John do the intro this time.
Okay.
Oh, thank you very much. I was going to say we've been together 40 years, but that's not true, is it? No, what it was, I'm a big fan of Simon Marsden. He's a photographer and writer who did stuff on ghosts. And many years ago now, I was looking on YouTube and I saw this documentary, The Twilight Hour. It was actually put out by someone other than Jason. And I watched it and I thought, blimey, this is really good. So I left a comment saying, what a great film, what a great man he was. Shame he's passed away. And Jason actually replied and said, thanks very much. And we had a brief chat. And I'm a very spiritual person. And I just felt that there was something told me I needed to remember his name. And I actually wrote it down because I had a feeling we were going to be working together in the future. And then literally it was about 4 or 5 years. And I was going out with this lady, and she said that Jason was in Suffolk filming a documentary about M.R. James, and he was also doing some stuff for a new documentary on Simon Marsden. So I messaged him on Facebook, and he said, "Oh, sorry, I've gone back to Ireland." I thought, "Oh God," because I wanted to interview him for a couple of mags I write for. And so we briefly chatted on there, and then one day the phone went, and I thought it was Bob Geldof on the other end of the phone. I thought, what have I done? What's he want to speak to me for? And it was Jason, and we got on really well. And I think from this point, Jason could take up the story.
Well, as soon as you mentioned Bob Geldof, we did have the same headmaster in school, but him being a fair bit older than me, he was like 10 years ahead of me or whatever. But in separate schools, a guy called Father Godfrey, who was a really nice headmaster, actually. And he was a priest with the name Godfrey. And it was his real name. But that's got nothing to do with this story. That's just a little aside. So, so what happened was... Oh, do we have to look at me? So, that's throwing me off.
Lovely shirt, Jason.
I'm going to look here. Okay. So what happened was I wasn't in the mood at all to make a phone call to a journalist, and I thought I was in my parents' backyard. We say garden in Ireland, but I know in the States it's yard. So am I wrong? Is it backyard?
We call it garden sometimes if there's a garden.
Okay. Garden. Well, there's definitely a large garden.
Yeah, yard and garden.
Yeah, there's a garden, and so it was a really sunny day, and so I suddenly became in a really good mood. And I thought, you know what, I'll ring this journalist and see what he's about. So I rang him, and we had a good chat. And then shortly, maybe 3 or 4 minutes into the conversation, I really warmed to him. And I thought, Christ, we've really got a lot in common. And I'd mentioned something. He'd go, "Oh, I watched that when I was a kid," or "I used to do that when I was a kid," or "I went here, I went there." In fact, I think we were doing it at the same time. And I thought, this is really strange. So I said to him, "Look, I'm finishing this film, which is looking at the life and work of Simon Marsden, because he sadly passed away very young. He was only 63. Like a lot of well-known people, if you notice, they die when they're 63. Very strange. I can't think of a second person, but I know there's a lot of people, famous people who died at 63. So I said, "Look, would you be interested in being a part of this film, the Simon Marsden film?" And he said, "Absolutely, I'd love to." So I sent him a cut of the film. He loved it. It wasn't the first cut. I think it went on to another 2 cuts, I think, didn't it, John? Because I decided, because John was pretty much an expert in Simon Marsden, I thought I've got to have him on camera as well. So I did a 3rd cut. But before that, it was just getting a lot of great reviews, and John had kind of put out feelers to the media, and they were, you know, it was getting published in glossy magazines. A lot of them, as we know, John, that you would just stumble across and go, wait, didn't you look at this? You're on the
Wow.
cover of this bloody magazine in Suffolk. And so John was scouring East Anglia, you know, hunting down magazines that had actually published articles that he had put out there, you know. So we realized, wow, this is really coming along well. And Nikon came on board and they sponsored it. And they paid for the world premiere of the film at the very famous British Film Institute in South Bank in London. So we went along, we had a great time. Now, I'm a huge fan of Hayley Mills, the child actress Hayley Mills.
Me too.
Growing up, you know. And she came to the showing.
Wow.
So I got a really kiss from Hayley Mills before the world premiere of my film. And she did warn me, she said, now, Jason, I'm very sorry, but I have to run after, so I won't be staying for the Q&A because my son has a premiere in the West End. So she'd 45 minutes from the end of the film to get across, which was lovely of her to do that, you know, to turn up. So that was a thrill.
That's
so
really cool.
We ended up doing a Q&A together at this event, and it was very funny. It went on for like an hour and a half, the Q&A, and no one left, which was amazing. You know, the fear people start yawning, getting up and going, where the fuck are you going? But they didn't. Nobody left, and people were laughing, and we kind of thought, Christ, we're like a double act here. So we decided to have lunch. We had a couple of lunches, didn't we? Because I had to meet some other people as well.
Yeah.
So we met up. We went to like the London Museum and different cafes.
And Covent Garden.
Covent Garden. And we said, don't tell that story. Anyway.
Wait. Don't tell that story. It's always when you tell the story.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Erase that bit, seriously. But we decided, you know, I just said, look, do you want to go into partnership together? Because obviously this is working. I know it's the honeymoon stage, but it's working. You know? And he said, what do you want to do next? And I said, well, I wrote this film in 2016 called Winifred Meeks, a haunted house film, and I wrote it for Lara Belmont. And Lara had come out of retirement to do the film. She loved the idea of it, and she thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this film. And John said, okay, well, when do you want to do it? And I said, well, how about in 2 months' time, you know, we shoot the movie. And he goes, all right. And he went and organized it. So carry on there, John, about what you did in order to make the film happen.
Well, after I collapsed and got back up, I started to look around for a property. And I found a place in Dunwich, which is a little village on the East Anglian coast. In the medieval period, it was one of the biggest towns in England, and most of it's fallen into the sea. And it's supposed to be haunted and that, but it was this lovely Victorian building. And I inquired about it. And the funny thing was, it was owned by Mr. and Mrs. West, nothing to do with me. And yeah, it's true. No relation, nothing. I thought synchronicity, whatever.
Yes,
seriously.
So yeah, it's true. And it's actually stands next to a haunted leper chapel, a ruined chapel. And these white things are seen flitting around and apparently in the garden and stuff. So I did that. And I was dating this woman at the time, Julie Abbott, and I suggested, how about her playing the ghost? And so she did a little mini audition. I think she did, didn't she, Jason? I'm not sure. I can't remember now. And you said she was fine. So she came on board.
She's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
And
she looked great. No, she looked great. She was great. She made an amazing ghost, basically. I mean, she really did. And she took direction easily. So when I was talking to her, you know, I'd ask her certain things. She'd respond a certain way. And I always know if somebody can take direction or not. And if they can, you will get a performance out of them. Sometimes it comes to violence, but rarely. You know, you
didn't beat anyone.
The cattle prod, just as a, you know, as a but you know, I didn't need it once with her. It was fantastic.
No cattle prods for your actors?
There were a couple of times where I said, no, not now, when I fucking tell you. Maybe once or twice.
That's not bad.
She was great. She was really good. And she had this great ability to be incredibly still and not blink. So when she was in the window, you know, the piece where Lara looks up and she's looking and then she drifts backwards. I mean, even when I looked at that, I went, how the hell did you drift backwards? And kind of looking at me going, oh. So I sometimes wonder if she is of the earthly plane. I'm not
Maybe she had a skateboard.
It is that, yeah. I would have heard the wheels squeak though, because a lot of
Either that or she had a carpet under and I pulled it back.
Were you up there with her? Were you up there with her?
I
Sliding
was hiding at the time.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, I was in the cellar, I think.
Mystery solved.
Yeah.
Great. She was
Sort of
great.
the opposite of the scene in the house on Haunted Hill where the housekeeper comes
Oh, I
in.
love that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Love
good.
that.
We always call her the skateboard witch.
Because we include that in the film, don't we? A little bit from that classic.
Yeah.
That's right. We have the
Okay.
house on Haunted Hill on the TV screen.
Yes, you did.
That's right.
Our first night. Yeah.
That was
That's
a
true.
great nod to that. Well, I think it's amazing that for 2 months after you meet and have this discussion, and 2 months later, actually, starting to get this film together. Because that's just, I've made a short film. I just know how hard it is to put together a short film, never mind a feature length film. And it just seems that's kind of amazing that it sort of came together so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. What was even more amazing was I had only seen photographs of the house, so I was trusting John completely that he had got a place that would be let's face it, it's a hugely important character in the film, the house itself.
Absolutely.
If it had been a little semi-detached, housing stage, you'd be like, actually, that could have been even more terrifying. Who knows? But
That's true.
it just worked. But what was really odd about it was when I turned up, originally I had written the script that the ghost, she has a confrontation with the ghost in the kitchen, because in Ireland there are no cellars. You won't find a house with a cellar.
Yeah.
And then I turned up and we go in and there's a bloody cellar in the house. And I thought, so my original idea for the story could now be realized. So in a way I was compromising before, and now I realize I didn't have to compromise. But not only that, the layout of the house was exactly as I had written it in the script.
Wow.
Including the small stairs going up to the room, which is now a children's room, where she held her vigils, etc. I could not believe it. I mean, it was literally like we built a set to make that work.
You guys have some weird mojo, man. It was just meant to be.
Well, sometimes with old houses, it's really hard because they're so small. A lot of times the rooms and the doors and the hallways are so narrow and small. It's hard to get cameras in there to get them far enough away from things, Yeah, so that's an accomplishment in itself. You don't have any, wild walls to pull out or anything.
We have the trailer. We have the trailer for Winifred Meeks that we can play so people can get a visual. Do you like the trailer? You want us to play it for you? Okay.
Yeah, why not? I know it well.
I'm in it.
Let's do it.
Tell Mom I haven't even been slightly tipsy yet.
I'll do that, love.
I think this house is haunted, Dad.
Oh, here we go.
Seriously, Dad. There have been some odd happenings.
Such as?
Voices, sensations.
Do you remember the time when you were 16?
Here we go.
No. Listen.
Okay, Dad.
Do you remember? You were 16 and you held a vigil. An all-night vigil at the cemetery. Because you were guaranteed a visitation from the Red Lady of Midsummer's Eve.
I was a child.
True, but...
No buts.
But... there is a pattern when it comes to things that go bump in the night with you, Squirrel.
All right, Dad. So maybe there's an element of wishful thinking. But this is different. It's different.
Love, look, I have to bring your mother her tea and hot water bowl, so I better sign off. You know the score. The last servant, etc., etc., etc.
Okay, Dad.
And keep me
in the loop. Of course, I know, Dad. Love to you and Mom.
Night, Squirrel.
Please leave me alone!
That looks all right, didn't it?
Creepy.
Yeah, I was scared,
That is a spectacular location.
Well, I love haunted house movies, haunted movies. You know, the movies that not only are about hauntings, but movies that actually haunt you after you see the movie.
Mhm.
I think, you know, like The Haunting, which is a great name for a movie. That's a haunting film about a haunting.
That's
called
true.
The Haunting. And
Stop it.
this
original by Herbert Wise, 63. Amazing.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
but what a great genre, you know, I think it's kind of an untapped resource too. I've always felt like, you know, there's got to be more movies like that out there somewhere that somebody's going to make, you know, somebody's got to make that haunting movie about a haunting.
And
Well,
this
it's
was
very-
a quiet, beautiful film. I mean, I think that's what I liked about it. Is like a lot of American films are very bombastic. Like even if it's supposed to be a quiet ghost movie, they get a little like, wah. I think what I liked about this was just sort of the quiet, sort of, you know, very contemplative feel to it. I loved the concept, and I don't know whose idea this was of putting like the TV and the radio over everything, because when you think about it, that's how we kind of live our lives now with this constant noise everywhere. I loved that idea of bringing it into a movie. You know, it was a very
because I came up with the stuff about the television because I've done that before in other films, but John came up with the radio stuff. So
Very
again,
cool.
it was a perfect kind of blending of ideas that were similar but different, and something I wouldn't have considered. And he came up with the idea of it being Sherlock Holmes. Like, let's annoy the crap out of her in the car all the way to the house, you know.
That was very fun.
And even when he gets into the car, of course, he didn't turn it off, so it starts
still going.
You know, and it's funny, you know, the sequence is funny, you know, it's
right.
they're being very sarcastic with each other, you know.
Right.
So, you know, I love that, but I like the kind of, you know, the meta idea of, you know, referencing the fact that it's a film, you know, and you're inspired by this, that, and the other. It was like a great story I heard that William Friedkin told, and I watch every interview he's done. He's the funniest guy ever, you know. All he does is apologize to everyone he's abused over the years.
Right.
But he said this great thing when he did Killer Joe. There's a sequence, and if you look at the movie again, and if you don't, you guys, I'm sure, know this, where the truck pulls in, and you can see the entire crew in the side of the truck.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was a great shot. And the you know, the DP said, director of photography, for anyone who doesn't know what that means. Photographer.
Lingo.
Yeah, lingo. Exactly. You put up bubbles, you know. And he said, the guy said, "Oh, let's reset." And Friedkin goes, "Why?" And he goes, "You know, why?" And he goes, "Because we can see the entire crew on the side of the truck." And Friedkin's like, "It's a great shot. I love it. We're not doing it again. Do you really think the audience believe there isn't a fucking crew making this movie? Let's move on." And that was it. And he wouldn't let them shoot it again because he said the audience aren't idiots. They know there's a crew there making a movie. Let's not treat them like idiots.
Wow.
So, I know it's slightly different, but the idea of putting in TV screens and radios, let's face it, you got a young woman on her own in a place in the middle of nowhere writing her book. Right. Any sane person, the first thing they're going to do is turn the radio on or at night have the TV on because they're going to want a bit of company.
Yeah.
So in her case, it's TV while she's in there, radio while she's wandering around the house or going to bed at night, and then when she's going asleep, she'll flick it off. So I thought, well, it might annoy some people, but you know, we're always going to annoy some people. I mean, there are people that hate Winifred Meeks, and I've discovered, I mean, I've clearly found out why. A lot of them hate it because they say it's like a BBC ghost story for Christmas. But the people that really like it for the same reason.
Yeah. I was going to say, when is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I liked about it. In fact, it's funny you say that because I thought when it started, it felt very Hammer film to me, like this kind of old school, because it had the photography looked like that. The music came in, and then that voiceover. I just felt like I was about to watch a Hammer film. It was great.
And that was the point of it. We're inspired by Hammer. We're inspired by Lawrence Gordon Clark's Ghost Stories for Christmas in the 70s for the BBC. That's what inspires us. So you got 20-year-olds coming to this movie.
Of course.
It's not their kind of movie, you know, because they want ghosts to rip people's guts out and gouge their eyeballs out. It's not that kind of movie.
No.
Other people have said, is it even a haunting at all? Or is it the gradual, she's not in a good place anyway. And
Exactly.
Right.
is she building it up? Has it become
Yeah.
something? Because let's face it, no one else sees the ghost. She
Right.
does.
Yeah.
But actually, she doesn't. If you think about it, she dreams about the ghost, but she doesn't actually see it. Even when she's in the cellar, it's behind her,
Yeah.
She doesn't have a frontal confrontation with a ghost. So I love the idea of leaving it up to the viewer to decide, is it haunted, or is this a psychological drama? Is it even a haunted house movie at all?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's some of the best movies, and that's one of the elements of films I think that do haunt you because it leaves you with questions. And I think when you're left with some questions that you have to use your own imagination to solve, it engages your brain in a way that keeps the story in your brain,
Right.
And some of my favorite things are like that, where suddenly you realize, wait a minute, is this movie really about that, or is it about something else? Is this a movie about somebody's mental health, or is this a movie about a spiritual haunting type of thing? Or, look at, I keep bringing these same movies up as examples, but things like Rosemary's Baby, did that really happen?
I like the-
Maya Farrow's character is having a meltdown. Plus,
Yeah.
I'm sure she was having a meltdown in real life because
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra did not want her to be making that movie. And
Right.
That's right.
he told her, if you do not leave this film, we're done. So she was already in a bad place making that.
Yeah.
And I think that helped inform her brilliant performance in that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, and that great haircut.
Yeah. Which,
Well,
Beautiful.
I saw.
That was filmed in the place where John Lennon lived as well.
That's
yeah.
right. The Dakota.
New York.
Dakota building.
Haunted for sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories with the Dakota building.
Yeah.
That place is weird. I've walked through it a few times, and it's one of those places that if there's ghosts, in New York, it's either there or the old Chelsea or something like that.
Well, is it
I
not
think
official?
it's a woman, isn't it, or something?
Well, I'll go back. I saw Winifred Meeks twice. The first time I thought it was a real haunting, and then the second viewing, I thought, well, maybe this is inside her head, because it is there. The atmosphere has to do with her getting away from obviously a troubled marriage. Something's going on there. She's sort of out of sorts, but she has this deadline. She's getting all this stress from her agent. You got to deliver this book, and so there's all this going on. She has the TV, the radio on, and you're in this big house in the middle of nowhere. There's that sense of displacement, which I always find really interesting in a movie, where you just feel out of sorts. You're not, it's like travel horror. You're out on your own somewhere else, and you feel off. And that's the sense I get from the film.
Plus, she's a writer, so she's got this creative tendency anyway. She's trying to think of ideas and things, and when you're engaging your brain in a kind of a sensory deprivation situation, like being alone in a house, your mind, like they say, the old saying, your mind can play tricks on you.
Yeah. I feel like the ghost was probably the least of her problems when I was watching that.
Get a husband who was unfaithful and also not really trying very hard to apologize. Let's face it.
Yeah.
He was getting irritated. I played the boyfriend, by the way.
Oh, you did?
She rang me up, and when she heard it, said, "Jason, you make such a lovely boyfriend, you prick."
So, John, you mentioned.
No, I was going to react that way, that I was going to actually be quite irritated that I had to apologize. For Christ's sake, I've said I was sorry. She meant nothing.
How many times? This was nothing. What's your problem? Make it her problem, right?
Forgive me already, will you? Let's move on with our lives. But so I have no idea what that's pertaining to at all. But yeah.
Jason, I think Jason, it was you. You mentioned earlier that you got Laura Belmont out of retirement to play Anna. Now, so she was actually retired from acting at this point.
I don't think it was a conscious. I am retired. It was that she ended up having 3 children, and she moved, from London down to the country.
I see.
Discovered new friends and a different life. And the funny thing was that when John and I started posting updates about the film, we're friends with Lara on Facebook. You should add her. She's lovely. He should,
oh yeah, for sure.
Out to her. She's lovely. And I posted up a picture of her sitting on a chair when she was 18 with her arm around Tim Roth, you know, and her friends were going, Laura, why have you got your arms around Tim Roth? You're not an actress, are you? And she's going, yeah, I am. Yeah.
She kept that quiet.
Not only an actress, like she was one of the top teen models in the UK. She was discovered by one of the great model scouts. Oh God, I can't remember her name. Really famous woman who used to walk around London looking for models, and she was just walking down Oxford Street one day, and Isabella Blow actually discovered her, and they were friends forever actually until she sadly died. Yeah, she was just walking down Oxford Street and she was discovered, and then because she was a model, she was getting involved in the film world, and it came up that there was an audition for this movie, and she beat out 3,000 other teenage girls to win the role opposite Ray Winston. So you think about it, in her very first film role, she was in there with Tilda Swinton and Ray Winston, two acting superstars, you know, and two of the greatest actors of their generations. And she held her own completely. And it was Colin Farrell's first movie. And it was Colin Farrell. He played the boyfriend in it. And I said, how'd you get on with Colin? And she went, So, yeah. So,
he's supposed to be pretty intense.
I didn't go further, you know. But so she literally had just gotten on with her life, you know. She had done The War Zone. She did Rise of the Foot Soldier. She did The Lives of Henry VIII again with Ray Winston, and Crime and Punishment with John Sim, a very famous English actor. And she just got on with her life, met her partner, had children, moved, you know, down to the country, and wasn't really pursuing it. So when I sent the script to her, she was like, wow, okay, this is something that I want to actually make an effort to. Let's get back out there and make this. But what made it extra difficult, I think Lara was concerned about it and actually aired that concern in the very first article in Starburst magazine, was that I wanted to shoot it like an Italian movie. I shot the entire film with no sound whatsoever.
I was about to say, did you shoot MOS? That's the Italian style, huh? That's
funny.
There were reasons for it, right?
Oh yeah.
I know with the Italians, a lot of it came out of originally the noisiness of the cameras, and they realized it could work much quicker if they just filmed and then added the sound.
Right.
Because there were such great technicians for that. And then, of course, you've got Foley. I mean, Foley was created by an Irishman called Foley.
Yeah.
And Foley was actually created for the Stanley Kubrick, Kirk Douglas film, Spartacus. I don't know whether you know the story.
Oh, yeah.
Tell it.
With the army marching down the hill, and no one had recorded sound. So you had these thousands of actors walking down a hill with their swords and blah, 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 and their spears. And they were all in there going, Jesus Christ, what are we going to do? And the carpenter happened to be walking by, and he goes, Mr. Kubrick? And he goes, yeah. He says, I know what to do. And he goes, you do? Nobody else does. So he came in, and he says, play back the footage. And they played back the footage, and he took out his huge bunch of keys and went, shh, shh, shh.
That's funny.
And they all went, oh my God. It worked perfect.
Life-changing.
So he went from being the carpenter to the guy who created Foley.
That's
and started making all these sounds for them, you know, and they went, this is incredible. And had his, you know, and he
love that.
He had a great career doing that. Started off as a carpenter like Harrison Ford, who also went on to have a great career as something else. But,
there's a great Foley story with you were talking about William Friedkin for The Exorcist, where he called in an Italian Foley artist, and they were trying to figure out when her head turns around, you know, like what sound does that make? You know, what sound does your neck make when it goes all the way around, you know? And Friedkin says that this guy got in the recording booth and he's watching it, and he pulled out his wallet, you know, this leather wallet, and he just kind of went like that with this old leather wallet, and it was like, and Friedkin was like, "That's it."
But I love that outside the box, and of course the woman who voiced Pazuzu.
Yeah,
I don't even saying that bloody name. Sorry, bless me. But I'm a Catholic boy. I'm a Roman Catholic. that she was smoking like 60, 70,
Oh my God.
80 cigarettes a day.
That
Great,
can't be
put
good.
it away.
Eileen
Less than
Dietz.
water.
Eileen Dietz.
Yeah, she's
Exactly. She was. I mean,
and Mercedes McCambridge, I think, did the voice. Eileen did the adult things, you know, but I think Mercedes McCambridge did the voice, you know.
Oh.
Well, you know Jack McGarren, of course, a great Irish actor
who played Burke.
Burke.
Yeah, but you remember he dies in the film.
Oh yeah, Burke's always die in movies. Anytime
They
you
usually
see a Burke,
deserve it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Burke, you know, where you guys are from, the name Burke means idiot, right?
Yeah.
Also serial killer in Scotland, Burke and Hare.
Burke and Hare, that's true.
Yeah.
Up in Edinburgh.
You guys got some good ones too. You got some good crazy people there.
We're full of crazy people in England, you know, and Scotland and Wales and.
I'm glad you didn't say Ireland was in the UK. I really
No,
Oh, of course.
No,
I know better. Yes.
Yeah.
Geographically, we're in the British Isles,
Right.
but
Right.
politically,
Yes.
we're not in the UK.
Don't want to
They
be
were
either.
once, though. They were once up until about 1922, weren't it, Jason?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then they had enough and said, look, we don't want to be a part of this anymore. We're off.
We threw the English out of our country, and that's
Yeah, there you go. But we're friends, and that's the main thing, isn't it? We put all that beyond us.
Yeah, is it?
Well, my great uncle was the guy who got the arms from Germany to fight the British during the Rising. He went over to the Kaiser in 1914, and they gave him 20,000 Mausers, which he smuggled back on the Asgard with Erskine Childers. And when the police found out that they were going, the Black and Tans, actually, those scumbags, when they found out that the armaments were being brought in, they tried to surround the boat, but hundreds of Irish people came to the docks and they smuggled all the weapons out between them. So when they got on the boat, there was 5 rifles. And they were like, well, you can't really start a revolution with 5.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
That sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
Next project.
How did stuff like that happen without social media?
Only Neil Jordan gets budgets like that, though.
Neil, right.
Jordan, yeah. That's true. Yeah, I guess it would be
You've
expensive.
got to tell them about your Stafford connection as well. He's connected to almost royalty.
Yeah,
Really?
I'm a direct relation to the Earl of Stafford, who was King Charles I's right-hand man, and who was betrayed by Oliver Cromwell.
Right.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, I've written a book about Cromwell, so we often clash about that.
Oh, John's obsessed. He even has a bloody portrait of him on his wall. The first one I said, what the
Is
f- are you doing with Oliver Cromwell on your wall?
I've got a bust of him as well. You almost ripped it down.
Well, he's probably a ghost somewhere that he wants to find.
But he did point out, he said, you do realize Richard Harris played Cromwell in a movie. And I said,
Exactly.
okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
okay.
he was very good in that film as well.
Very good.
Good old Richard.
Yeah.
So
He was
I
good in everything.
ended up I've watched Torment, and I watched Did You Recognize Me?
You know,
I've seen those movies. I have to say I really liked Did You Recognize Me? I liked them both.
Well, you know the big guy with the hammer?
Yes.
That's me.
I know. I saw that in the credits. But you didn't show your face. You had a
That
mask
was
on.
the idea. No, do you know? Let me talk about that for 1 minute, right? The reason why I decided to play Babyface was it was the only way to direct the movie and be in it and not be seen as directing the movie.
Oh, that's funny.
Because my character, but I'll tell you what's really freaky about that film is, you know, the little woman in it, woman who was using the boom ball, and she was crying throughout the entire movie. She thought we were making a snuff movie. They were real tears and terror.
They really thought you were going to kill a guy?
She did, because she'd never seen me. See, the idea of the film was we shot that entire movie in 24 hours, right? No one knew when they went into that room that there was going to be a big guy in a babyface mask and a wife beater with a hammer, a guy tied to a chair drenched in blood. Nobody knew. So the only person that knew was Darren Travers, who plays the twins, who's amazing. You know, he ended up winning. He won the Best Performance Award at Starburst Media Festival for that.
Love it.
And You know, and when you look at the two roles, when he played the brother, the intellectually challenged brother, he did that a year before because he said, "Jay, we're going to do this movie. I'm going to need a year between performances." And he created utterly amazing. You know, he walked around the city like that. The police actually stopped him once and said, "Are you okay? Are you alive?" He never went out of character. Never went out of character. And but then, of course, when he plays the cool, dangerous brother who's highly emotional and very dangerous, and you notice he towers over everyone else in the cast.
Yes.
When the pretty little Matt Toman comes in, you know, to make his film, and then suddenly he's like looking up at this guy, like, what the hell? I love that about it, you know. And then he meets, you know, and then brings out the gimp brother, i.e., me, who's even bigger again, you know. So, so that was funny, right? But
it was fun.
People were the cinematographer when he shot that movie, who was the guy with the camera. He was the cinematographer, so he had to act.
That's really funny.
You better be good, man. You better be good, or I'm going to kick your ass, beat your head open with his hammer. When he went home that night, he just put up one word on Facebook. He just wrote "traumatized." Like literally, the girl. When I called cut at the end of the film and I pulled the mask off, the girl dropped the boom pole, ran over to me, and threw her arms around my waist, sobbing that it was actually me. And we
poor thing.
I thought she didn't act again.
Oh, really?
What did you do to her?
I felt really bad about that because I kind of assumed she knew it was a movie. I mean, she'd known me for a while. I think it was because I was nowhere to be seen. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I was never there. I was either hiding in a little outbuilding or I was, you know, waiting to do all that stuff. And of course, the hammer, you know, obviously is a prop hammer, but it meant that I could really hit the guy as hard as I wanted to and never flinch away. Personally, now being a father of a 4-year-old girl, I do not know why I made that movie. It's a total. The other guys are going, we haven't seen this. What the hell? It's demented. I mean,
I watch everything.
It's demented, though, isn't it? I mean, it is.
It's demented. Yeah. It is. But see, you know, I liked it. It was very. I think what I liked about it, it's interesting you said it was shot over such a short amount of time. It was very contained and very lean. And I liked just it had one clear cut idea and it went for it. And I just love the whole social media aspect. The guy's like, yeah, I'm filming stuff. And then it turns on him in a way. I just love that concept. And when you guys went into the room and there's a guy, there's a guy sitting in the chair. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch any more of this, but I did, of course.
Yeah, well, the girl who on the other camera, the gothic girl, she's a great filmmaker. She did Demon Hunter. She did this great kind of strange film about a demon hunter, and she's gone on to loads of other things. So the whole thing was very meta. It was filmmakers playing filmmakers.
I love that.
You know, and I think that's what helped it. But also the opening of it, you probably found it hard to understand the dialogue, did you? You must have, because some very thick inner city Dublin accents in it. Like the young guy, you know, the little blonde guy, the pretty little guy at the beginning, you know, with the two girlfriends, you know. That was filmed in one of the toughest parts of Dublin. I mean, the fact that we got out of there unscathed was even something miraculous.
Wow.
And we didn't tell them we were there. So when you had people shouting and we were pixelating their faces for the added realism of, oh shit, is this a movie or is it a documentary? In a way, the first half was a documentary because we didn't know what was going to happen. And even when we taxed that guy in the stairwell and really gave him the slaps, as they say in Dublin, gave him the slaps. The guy just had to take it. It was like, you know, it's got to look real. So it was real. These are genuinely tough people, you know?
Yeah, it had a found footage feel. Yeah. See, I love the found footage idea because you aren't sure. Like, I like just sort of trying to lose myself that it is real. I think that's really fun. So it definitely accomplished that.
Well, Torment, right? When Torment came out, Film Ireland said that we have to put a warning on this film. It is, they actually said it is our social responsibility to warn people.
It was it because it's a woman who's doing all the torturing?
No, I think the whole nature of what happened and why she's grieving and also her performance is so incredible when she loses it that it's like like one reviewer said, it was like a primal scream, you know, that just
It was.
it was very very, you know, distasteful in a way, you know. And yeah, again, they're not movies I would watch ever again. I think, you know, even though I made them, they're too dark. They're
They're
too
very dark.
yeah. They're yeah. A lot of people say
Oh.
that to me, like, why, what was
Why?
going on? You know? Yeah.
Oh, I want to
My
watch
wife
it.
says that. My wife said you're a completely different person since our daughter came along. I've literally become a different person. It's
That's
supposed
really
to be
funny.
bizarre, and amazing. I mean,
It happens
somebody
as
said
you
to me, I was
progress
at
through
the
life.
Directors Guild,
Yeah.
and somebody said to me, "What is the greatest work you've ever produced?" And I said, "My daughter." And he was like, "Are you joking?" And I'm like,
Aw,
"No,
that's
no.
so sweet.
She's the love of my life, you know."
Of course, of course. Well, what's next for you guys? I mean, is there another Figgis-West production on the horizon, or is something you talk about? Or
John, you're like a wallflower there. Come on,
I
speak
know
up.
we're not letting him get a word in edgewise over here.
That's all right. He's the director. I'm just.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah. No, we've got well, we're working on a Colin Wilson documentary. The writer, he's very big in America.
Oh, right.
I hope you've heard of him. He did
Oh,
the
yeah.
Outsider and books on the occult, UFOs, ghosts. It's an authorized documentary as well. We've got the full approval of the family. We've got some great people in it like Uri Geller, Philip Pullman.
Wow.
We're also working on a Jack the Ripper documentary with Mike Hawley, who's one of the leading experts in America, and also Stuart P. Evans. And that involves a character called Francis Tumblety. Although he was born in Ireland, he lived in America, and he was actually connected with they suspected him of being involved in the assassination of Lincoln. So that's another thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's all going to come out in the documentary, and we've got new evidence as well. Because I know this character's been in the public domain for quite a while. Because Stuart Evans first published his book a few years ago. We've got new evidence, which, well, I won't go into it, but let's just say that after watching it, you'll probably have a different opinion who Jack the Ripper was. And we've got other films in the pipeline. We've got one, Bureau's Dragon, with an actress called Diane Keane. We've got another very big name in it as well, but I'm not allowed to say, am I, Jason?
No, we're not allowed. We've got a gag order.
Not allowed. Okay.
Yeah, no, he was literally, the actor he was the top of my list. And I thought, I'm going to start there and I'm going to work down. And we started there, and I got an email at like 3 a.m. from his agent going, "Jason," I nearly said his name, "loves your script." And he said, not only does he want to do it, but he's giving you a letter of intent so you can raise the finance on his name.
Nice. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's
the way
great.
to do it.
Yeah.
So we're not allowed. They just said, look, please don't advertise until the movie's made. Then we don't want to say he's in it just in case, you know.
You can tell us. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're immune to those kind of laws and regulations.
Yeah.
The thing is, we've got so many projects. I actually lose track because Jason will mention something. I forgot about that. So we've got loads of stuff.
We have a vampire love story, actually.
That one. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's called the Girl Who Blew Kisses at Trees.
I love the title.
It's about a Greek vampire who's lost her love of 120 years and decides she wants to find somebody else and becomes a little obsessed with somebody else that she sees. And so that's it's going to be beautiful but very violent, I have to say.
Good.
Her seduction of the other women who become very complicit because literally all she does is knock on the door and say, "Invite me in," and when they do, you know,
don't do it.
Right.
Do not let a vampire in. It's never good.
But again, with the film, what we're aiming for is emotion. Though we want to make a vampire film that would actually bring tears to people's eyes, as opposed to just, "Oh my God, that really freaked me out." So we figure a good mix of realistic on-screen violence mixed with tenderness, and also hopefully people will kind of root for her because she's in such pain, you know, having lost this woman that she's been with for 120 years. So the woman just has had enough. She said, I don't want to go on. I've had enough of killing, and you know, that's me done. And she takes her own life. So that's going to be a fun one. We've got that in the works.
Sounds interesting.
I love that you have so many movies with women leads. I mean, really, both of your, like, I mean, Winifred Meeks is almost a one-woman show, basically. I mean, John's in it for like a second.
Well, that's why if you want to make a movie like Winifred Meeks and you know that it's just one person, you need somebody with the powers of Lara Belmont, who's like a winner and critic. You know, Chicago Critics Circle Award bloody winner. You know, for
she was amazing.
You need somebody who's gonna be able to carry that movie for you.
Oh yeah.
And you know, and I love writing for women. Like it's funny if you go further back before Torment, I did 2 teen summer project movies, which is really funny. It was literally just teaching kids, got sick of the fact that we were doing the same crap over and over. So I set up a thing called Teen Feature Film Project Ireland. And I did a cannibal film, apocalyptic film with kids called Children of a Darker Dawn.
I saw that poster. I'm like, I need to watch that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like there was I don't know whether you remember this reviewer called The Conduit Speaks. He kind of disappeared, but he was great. He said it was in, he had it on, he said there was a scene in that he put on his list of the 13 times I completely lost my shit. Put it in that list.
That's a huge compliment.
Well, we had kids like 6, 7, 8-year-old girls eating guts, you know, out of a corpse.
Oh my God.
They were loving it. The kids were loving it.
That's hilarious.
Of course.
You know?
So cute.
So that just came out. They were never meant to be released. They were meant to be, and The Exit of Isabel Man was the one the next year, a vampire film, you know. But again, is it a vampire film or is it a girl losing her mind? You know, so and
another great poster too.
Well, a lot of reviewers said that, you know, that girl beautiful. She was only 16. She's part Arabic. She's Irish Arabic, and that has that great look. And she loved the blood because it tastes. I made it with it was actually vegan blood, and it's vegan blood, but it tasted really nice. And she was like, "Oh yeah, give me more of that." So on one of the posters, she's actually sucking her finger on it, and that was literally an outtake shot of her going,
"Oh, that's funny." That's great image.
Never meant to be released, those films. And I have a great, cool sales agent in LA, a guy called Doug Zwick, who used to be senior VP at Disney. And he, you know, I send him stuff, and he said, "Well, let me see those films you made just for summer projects for kids." And he did, and he got them released by MVD. You know, and I thought they weren't meant to be released, but because they were released, suddenly doors were opening up with other people. It was kind of like, God, yeah, look. Children of a Darker Dawn was on favorite horror films of the year and worst horror films of the year. Right?
You'll never please everyone.
Look, I know I'm really like throwing out names here, but I met Scorsese once, right?
Woo.
Scorsese said to me, he said, you said, you know, if you make a movie, you want people either to hate it or to love it. You know, you want them to hate it or love it. And I was like, brilliant, okay. So
I love that impression.
I bet people really hate it.
That's great.
So it's kind of nice, you know?
Yes,
that's great. You really can't listen to reviews or listen to people like that, because it will just kill any creative spirit you have. It's just, you just have to know there will be haters and just.
Look, may as well put it out there. Winifred Meeks is really low on IMDb, right? And it turns out that the people who are reviewing it are the ones who hate the fact that it's like a BBC Ghost Story for Christmas. Like I said, that there isn't all this horror going on it, that it's a subtle, atmospheric story, like more like a tone poem, you know, as opposed to this, you know, come and get me. But then the people who sadly are watching it and really enjoying it for what it is, they're not rating it. They're just watching it moving on. So it's the people who are annoyed by it who are going,
The trolls are the loudest.
Yeah.
They're always the loudest.
They are.
So I ignore them at all. If we get a great review, I take it and I put a quote on the poster, and I see the poster building with lots of lovely quotes, and they're always quotes about what I intended with the film and not what I didn't intend. So I go, they're the people I made the film for, not the people who are going to hate it. You know, it's for the people.
Yeah, you gotta do what you do.
Yeah.
And I hear people like that, and I want to know, what films do you like? And it's always dumb stuff. So I'm like, okay, if you're gonna like that, then I don't care what you say.
I mean, look at the way the critics attacked Clint Eastwood in the early days. You know, saying Dirty Harry was a load of rubbish, and you know, and I mean, what did he say? Opinions are like. Can I say the word? Is it too rude? Opinions are like something. Everyone's got one. So. You know what? You know the word I mean.
That's a universal saying. Yeah, that works
Yeah.
over here too.
Yeah, definitely.
I love the story. I love the story about Clint Eastwood when he was doing what was that film that Kevin Costner directed him in? Something like Perfect Day or something like I can't remember. Where Clint Eastwood played a cop and Kevin Costner was the criminal on the run. And,
what was that?
So he was directing Clint Eastwood, right? And they shot a scene, and of course Costner hadn't done a lot of directing. He thought, Christ, I'm really going to get the best out of Clint, and he did it. He did a shot, and he shot action, cut, and then he said, we'll do another take. And Clint went, no, wait a minute. He goes, what? And he goes, was I in focus? And he goes, yeah, let's move on. And that was that. It was kind of like,
well, that's the way he shoots.
What he wanted to do, you know?
That's right. He knows he's doing a good job. He's like, look, I was good in that take. We're moving.
And I love, anyone that says when they work with Clint Eastwood, he never says action or cut. He just says, well, let's, get in there and let's have a go. And then, the cinematographer will just start filming. And then Clint will walk away. And they figure, I gather we're on to the next thing then, are we?
That crazy guy.
Very low key. I've had a drink with him, and he's
really? Wow.
Really? Oh, tell us about it.
Is it a rap?
About it.
It was at a rap party, and I had something in my hands, and there was like a beer keg, and you have to pump them up, and I'm kind of trying to figure out where to put this thing, and I had a plastic cup, and suddenly there's a guy there. He's like, "You want me to pump that for you?" And it was this voice, and so Clint Eastwood pumped me a beer, and actually right after that rap party, for some reason I went over to Kathy's house, and remember I told you about that when I got there. I was like, you know what just happened? Clint Eastwood pumped me a beer out of a keg, and we sat there and talked for about 15 minutes.
We forgive him for talking to an empty chair. We'll just pretend Clint never did that.
That's great. I'd love to meet Clint,
He's classic.
90 now, Christ.
And he's still very formidable, even at that age. Like I'd be afraid of him.
Has the same office, doesn't he, on the lot?
Yeah. This was right outside of that office.
Who's going to take that away from him, really?
Yeah.
And doesn't he drives a really beat up car, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got some ratty
car.
car.
Here's a useful anecdote for you. He lived in the same town as Mike Nesmith for the Monkees.
Yeah.
That's right.
Carmel?
You really wanted to know that, didn't you? I can tell.
That's right. It's like I had no idea.
Yeah. Good old Mike Nesmith. Great. I love him too.
Oh yeah. Elephant parts.
That's it. Yeah.
So good.
Don't forget the Monkees. That was good. With a wolf hat.
So good.
Oh yeah, I love the Monkees. The show is amazing.
I met David Jones once,
Oh yeah?
Yeah, in the 80s. And,
I met Mickey Dolenz. We almost have
Let him tell his Davy Jones story. I want to hear it.
Oh, right. Well, it's not very exciting, but I went backstage, met him. I looked down and said hello, Davy, because he's very short. And we had a brief chat. And I forgot my camera, so I never got a picture. So I got the autograph, but he was a bit tired, so we didn't chat for that long. But he's the only monkey I've ever met. So I'd love to meet Mike Nesmith and obviously Mickey Dolenz. Obviously Peter's no longer with us, but Mickey Dolenz became a director for a while, and he lived in the UK for most of the 70s and directed a show called Metal Mickey. I don't know if any of you remember it.
Oh yeah,
no, that's crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry, my Davy Jones story wasn't very exciting, Kevin.
No, you need to call him up and say, I am a movie producer and I want to make a film with you and see what happens.
Speaking of ghosts.
Well, I was being dead. So,
he died a while ago.
Not him, the other monkeys.
The astral telephone.
The other monkeys.
We'll do that.
That's a whole other different kind of phone call.
That's true. Well, you do, ghosts.
Very high rates.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something about Jason as well? He winds me up sometimes. One of the first times we ever spoke, he phoned me up and he did a Michael Caine impression. And for a brief instant, I thought it was Michael Caine. So now he's going to have to do it for you.
All right, now we got to hear it.
Yeah. Oh, God, I have to think of what to say, though. Think of something that Michael Caine would say.
Imagine yourself talking to Christian Bale about how terrible his job is.
To blow the bloody doors off.
Of course.
Or now that he's gotten older, so he was only 12 years old. Because now he's got older, he's lost that power in his voice.
Oh no!
Well, I think
Mr. Wine.
I think the movie The Trip with Bryden and Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they do
they're
that.
so- yeah.
He's still the best part in any movie he's in. Every time he shows up, I'm like, it's Michael Caine.
Yeah, get harder. You know, like,
He was
go back.
interviewed there a while ago, and he had hurt his hip, and he was coming down the stairs, and he came down really slowly. And I mean, like, he's 87 years old this year, you know. And
Wow.
he came down, and the interviewer said, "God, you know, you're in your 80s now, Michael. How does that feel?" And he goes, "Well, it's better than the alternative."
Exactly.
You know, so
Well,
it's a good question, you know?
Yeah.
words of wisdom from Michael Caine.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael
I
Caine.
don't think
Oh.
we all do revenge.
Well, this has been so fun, and it sounds like you guys have so many cool projects that we can have you on like 100 times.
Oh,
And we
can
will.
Thank you.
week if you like, you know.
Thank you.
Would love it.
What stage we're, you know.
But we
Well,
definitely
thank
need
you.
to get a camera angle where you can do your chin ups on camera,
Oh yeah, sure.
and we need to see your ghost behind you next time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and the Oliver
You know
Cromwell
what?
thing.
Look, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give you an exclusive, right? That when we're on the set of the Girl Who Blew Kisses at Trees,
Yes.
we'll shoot a diary for you, and you can have it exclusively.
Love it. Definitely. Sign it.
That
Let's get
would
that
be-
contract.
You've said it on the air now. We can
Love
use
it.
this. We can use this recording to compel
our
you to do
contract.
that.
No,
You guys,
No, it's seriously. It'll be the Cinemondo diary. Yeah, absolutely.
that would be really cool. I
That would be
love
super
that.
cool. Yeah, that sounds exactly
Hey,
right
maybe
up
if
our alley.
COVID is kind of, taken care of, we can come out to the set.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be so
We're
fun.
gonna shoot that. Where are we shooting that, John? We're shooting that in Norwich, aren't we? And Ipswich.
Yeah, Norwich, possibly Ipswich. What about Beer's Dragon? You ought to come on board for that as well. Have a video diary of that.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh,
I
we
would-
would love that.
And
I'd
there is
be-
a dragon in it, but it's only a little toy dragon.
Yeah.
Aw,
Upstairs. I'll show you next time.
that's adorable.
We'd love to show up on set and have our cell phones go off, and we'll talk right when you start rolling. And are you guys rolling now?
It's go. They're shooting without sound.
Will not,
Is she
no,
acting?
it will not be shot Italian style because it's all dialogue and character. That'll be a
Gotcha.
nightmare.
Okay, fine. We'll be professionals that we are. Since we've been on a few sets, we understand.
I'm on sets every day.
Wow.
Hey, listen,
Well-
it's terrible. When I was working with the kids, the teenagers, they were talking so much. Just before I call action, I'd go, "Shut the fuck up." Like 12-year-olds going, "Sorry, Jason."
Yeah. That's what you have to do.
Make sure you
Shut
get
'em
that
up.
on the diary. Abusing children.
Well, this was so much fun. Again,
So
Winifred
fun.
Meeks is available, and please check it out. It's really atmospheric and really
Yes.
it gets under your skin in a very good way.
And just
uh,
that performance. Wow.
Yeah,
It's a
Laurie
haunting
Belmont.
film. I think it's a film that stays with you because
Mhm.
it doesn't just go away when you finish watching it. It's one of those things you keep kind of
Yeah.
imagining again. And I think that's a mark of something that's immersive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
That's
can't wait
awesome.
to see a Jack the Ripper documentary. I never get sick of those. Love Jack the Ripper stories. Love
Yeah,
it.
our
So
guy
I'm-
Mike
and
Hawley-
stuff.
Our guy Mike Hawley, who's pretty much the star in it. He's a retired U.S. naval commander.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a
Fascinating.
very cool guy. He's married to
Nice.
a beautiful Italian American woman who is a triathlete, and she puts
Wow.
him through his paces big time.
I'm sure. Oh my
Keeping
God.
him fit, keeping him fit.
That's right. Keep moving.
Like she had COVID, right? And
Ugh.
the next day she was up. She was like wrecked. Next morning up, out doing her
Oh.
training again. Incredible.
Man. Probably because she was so fit, she was able to sort of withstand it better than a lot of people. Yep. Well, I'm vaccinated. I'm good. Mm.
Yeah.
Travel is
Wonderful,
imminent.
guys. Well, thanks, John West, Jason Figgis. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
For a second. It was really fun.
We want to have you back on.
Yeah, bunch of times.
We want to follow everything, the
Bags,
career.
so you'll need your sick bags for the girls who blew kisses.
We're pretty strong stomachs.
I'd say so.
I like torment, and and then that. Did you recognize me? So that's who I am.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. You gotta watch
All right.
Oh Man then for a laugh, It's like,
Oh,
very violent too. Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, I'm rambling. I'll shut up.
Yeah. Don't hang up. We're gonna head out, but don't leave.
We're gonna
Yes.
do the outro here, but stay with us, and we can
Yeah.
have a little chat afterwards that nobody gets to hear what we say.
Ha-ha, secret.
All right. Thanks very much for joining.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.